the recording right now. And like I said, I like to start off our BNI Blast on Blab broadcast with some music. This music is from Drew Gibson. He's a local DC area acoustic blues artist. He's given me special permission to use any of his music on our broadcast. So this is one of my favorites from his album called The Southern Draw. It's called Here in the Evening Too. Welcome to the BNI Blast on Blab. If you're listening to this on the replay, retweet and share this with your followers and fellow BNI and business networking colleagues. I always like to start off these shows with a little definition of what is BNI. BNI is an acronym for Business Networking International. BNI is the largest business networking organization in the world with over 7,300 chapters, 190,000 members. In 2015, BNI generated 7.7 million referrals, which resulted in $9.3 billion worth of business for its members. BNI offers members the opportunity to share ideas, contacts, but most importantly, referrals. Make sure my other mic is not getting in the way. So I'm happy to. So like I said in the beginning, there's a little tweet button if you're watching this from a desktop. Even if you're on your mobile device, you can click tweet and that'll share it with your followers. So we encourage you to do that to get other people kind of tuning in on the show. I'll do it myself so you can kind of see what it looks like in the feed. And I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Brian Lobig. I am a business networking, but I'm more of a web designer and internet marketing strategist here in Bethesda, Maryland. I'm a member of the Capital Business Alliance of BNI in Bethesda here. And I'll have Philip introduce himself, my co-host.
Hi, I'm Philip Day. I am the CEO and manager of Philip Day Communications in Charlottesville, Virginia. We have a pretty large menu of services, but one of my favorites is doing social media management. We handle business Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Google Plus pages for small businesses of any industry. And it's just a lot of fun. It's a way to engage the public with our clients. But we also do other things like copywriting, website management, website development, and I do voiceovers for commercials. So that's the thing is that I just enjoy working with other small businesses since I'm a small business guy myself.
And so Philip mentioned small businesses, but he also works with large federal companies as well. He and I are working with the National Institutes of Health on a significant social media project right now as well. So I'm really excited to introduce our guest for today, Ted Cruz of AMR Commercial Real Estate. He's a member of my BNI Capital Business Alliance chapter in Central Maryland. He considers himself a facilitator, a consultant, an advisor, a commercial real estate agent at AMR Commercial here in Bethesda, and he's over 25 years of experience. So Ted, fill in any gaps from that intro that I just gave there and tell us something personal about yourself too.
Sure. I'm native Washingtonian, born in Washington, D.C., lived in the DMV area my whole life, from Annapolis, Maryland, over to currently over in Harpers Ferry, West Virginia. I've been licensed as a real estate agent for over 25 years in Maryland, and I serve in D.C. and Northern Virginia also.
Very good.
Very good.
The first question I have for you is, since you've been in business, have you been in commercial real estate? You've been in commercial real estate for 25 years. How did you first get started with that?
So from construction into real estate appraisals, and then selling new homes for builders, and then deciding that I didn't feel like working weekends anymore, and more into a Monday, Friday routine, which was really appealing to me as kind of a standard, normal routine. Monday through Friday. So I made the transition about 15 years ago into commercial from residential, and I think that gave me a unique perspective on real estate industry and facilitating a residential transaction versus a commercial transaction, which are just two different animals altogether. I really enjoy the commercial side of things. So it's very unique learning about different businesses as Philip meeting and yourself meeting new people, learning about different businesses, logistics, facilities, all the different nuts and bolts that go together on what makes a business tick and what are key points for people in their real estate and commercial real estate needs that specifically tie into businesses and help people solve problems is always just fun and exciting for me. So that's a basic outline of why I enjoy commercial.
Very good.
Ted, question for you about commercial real estate. What segment of the market is really the most active presently? Like apartments or commercial buildings or industrial development. And tell us why that is most active.
So we live in a very dynamic area here in Washington, D.C., and I actually did some demo statistics on that. Washington, D.C. right now has over almost 500 million square feet of office space,
Wow.
which is the second highest number in the nation, only behind New York City. So what drives that are jobs. What drives the jobs are people, obviously. So our population with the redevelopment and kind of gentrification of DC has really created a boom for multifamily properties and developments, meaning residential condominiums, residential apartments. There's lots of young people that are in their 20s and 30s that are coming here to this region. There's so many different things that this region has to offer, but obviously the biggest one are jobs. And we're one of the most powerful cities in the world. We have beautiful landscape from the Blue Ridge Mountains to the Chesapeake Bay to the Atlantic Ocean. So there's lots to do here. There's lots to see. We have, as you guys know, 4 different seasons. So we've got winter, summer, fall, and spring, which are always fun here, the change of seasons. So I think just the overall package drives residential market. And so the multifamily market is booming in Washington right now. And a big part of that are the jobs, the young people. There's just lots of business, lots of people that want to be here. So yeah, multifamily, retail sales, restaurants are thriving here in DC, Maryland, and Virginia. It's a very international city. We've got people from all over the world that are coming here to Washington, to Maryland, DC. It's such a unique area. So you can tell I'm pro DC all the way. And there's just so much to do. Whatever you want to do, you can figure it out, and you'll if you're good at what you do, you'll be very successful.
So DC, very bustling urban area. What do you do to relax and get away from all of that high stress working in commercial?
So golf is good. Tonight I played racquetball. Relax. I try to relax a little bit. Going out to the country is great to breathe some fresh air, and you can go down to the Chesapeake Bay. It's an hour drive from DC. You can go to the ocean in 2.5, 3 hours. If you want to go up to the mountains, Harper's Ferry's just an hour away. Or if you really want to get into kind of West Virginia or Pennsylvania or anywhere west, really, it's just a stone throw away. You could be in Pennsylvania and Gettysburg in less than an hour from DC. So there's just so much to do. You want to go up to New York City, you're 3 hours from New York City. So, there's lots to do everywhere.
Ted, back to the commercial real estate. I have several realtor clients, and I've really gotten interested in it. I've purchased a couple of houses in my life too, but since the market crashed and everything in 2008, things have been different in many sectors of the country. But what do you see financing difficulties for the commercial sector, or have these banks loosened up as the market has stabilized?
So they're back to basics. It's do the numbers make sense? Do they pencil out? Banks are not lending money like they did, but certainly the lending has softened a little bit. But on the residential side, I think they've loosened a little bit, but there's still lots of paperwork that flies back and forth. So I think it's just does the deal make sense? Do the buyers meet their ratios? Does the commercial property make a profit? Is it able to carry its debt service? And that's what the lenders are basing their loans on. And they're good fundamentals there. So I don't think it's as aggressive as it was previously, but the values are certainly headed, and inflation is heading upward. So it's creating pressures on the lenders to make the deals. And so that's when you start to get stretched a little bit. So, the banks are back to fundamentals. And that's, I think, the big difference between now and 2008, in my opinion.
Okay.
We have a couple of questions from the audience, actually, and so I'm gonna throw this one up on the screen. The first one. So this one hasn't there been a recent move of commercial real estate out of Maryland?
So there certainly has been a downsizing of jobs into Northern Virginia and Washington. I think due to the fact that our traffic is so heavy here that people are really frustrated with traffic. And I think that has a lot to do with people moving to certain areas. Obviously, tax incentives are a big reason for big corporate companies. But I think a lot of what's driving the market right now is traffic. And people are just tired of sitting in traffic for 2 hours or an hour and a half to go one way to work. They're in their cars for 2 to 3 hours a day. People can only take so much of that. So that's why DC, with the multifamily and the condos and having metro and accessibility is really, really starting to show up big. And a lot of people aren't talking about that, but I think that has a big impact on the value. The commercial real estate was driving it. Certainly you have your services, your blue collar services, and your offices, federal government, that are still running, but a lot of it, I think, is driven by the traffic, believe it or not. That's my opinion.
Okay.
So they're moving to more convenient locations that are either rural or urban, that are more affordable, and somebody will show up with tax dollars, and it's enough of an incentive for someone to actually make a move across the river or into the city. Yeah, absolutely.
And we have another question, I should say, from the audience, from James, and he was wondering, how do commercial real estate settlements differ from homeowner settlements on a property? That's an excellent question, because it seems to me that commercial real estate, the liability is so much higher, and there's so many more legal issues. Please talk about that, if you would.
So, the big differences between the two transactions is that on a residential, you don't really have an environmental inspection, and then the lenders will go to a committee with commercial deals that are over, say, $1 million or $2 million. So they have what they call a committee approval process, whereas the loans are underwritten by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. So that's a different underwriting process. So those are really the two big differences is how they're underwritten and approved. Same basic fundamentals, but slightly different on the environmental inspection and they both require appraisals, but how the lenders view that is slightly different, and there's a different process for loan approvals between the two.
What kind of starting to segue our questions into BNI a little bit? What would you say are the type of clients or referrals are the best ones for you? What is the best, the most successful type of client that you like to work with?
So I really like to deal with people who are down to earth and respectful, and that run successful companies, and that appreciate the value of the service that I provide to them. People that have been in business for a while realize that they need somebody to represent their interest. And those are my clients, the ones that appreciate the value of my service. So you're going to say, well, specifically what business? So, blue collar businesses, developers are good clients of mine. They want to be insulated from either the seller or the buyer, and they want a middleman. Quite frankly, I've had both sides say, hey, we like you, we want you both to represent us, and that's a dual agent, which is somewhat tricky and difficult, but that does happen on occasion with me. So I hope I answered your question there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
BNI is sometimes a labor of love for people because you have to commute to it. You spend time networking, which is not always an easy thing to do. How would you, what advice would you give to someone who is considering joining a networking organization and they've never been a member of one? And how, well, it's two questions, I guess. And how would you say that they can really benefit from it the most?
So there's, it's a matter of commitment. I think from a first timer position, and I'm going to try to put myself back in my shoes when I first started. You really have to feel comfortable with the people that you've aligned with in that group. I think that if you get a good sense feeling with the people that you meet as a guest prior to your admission or application, that's always a good start. Your gut feeling. How did you feel when you met certain people? Do you think that you have service that you can provide? But more importantly, once you get past that, I think that you've got to be able to give yourself a chance to succeed, and you have to give other people the benefit of the doubt. So I really think that you need 6 months to 12 months to really get a feel for the people in the group and learn their businesses and learn about what they're looking for and idiosyncrasies that will impact them, and that you just never know who you're going to run into that will fit that need. So I think the more you expose yourself to members, the more you learn about their businesses, and the more that you can help people with referrals, good referrals that they can actually benefit from and close business from, in my opinion.
Very good. One of the things since I'm a relatively new BNI member, and for those of you who just joined, our conversation has gone from kind of commercial real estate to kind of business networking. And so we're talking about Business Networking International, and all three of us on the show here are members of that group. And so I've been a member for 2 years. My own business, BNI does a really good job of tracking your referral income, because you have to report that on a regular basis. And so last year, I'm just doing my taxes now with the tax guy from my group, who's my tax accountant now, Alton Burton. So this past year, 44% of my income has come directly from BNI referrals. And I doubled my business from last year to this year, but it's still 44% of my business. So I'm curious about, first of all, how did you first hear about BNI? Because I heard about it like on the internet. And this is a question for Philip too. Like, Ted, how did you first hear about BNI? How long ago was that? And then how did you first hear about it?
So I heard about it through a friend of mine who was a member of a group, and they asked me to come in and visit with them, which was not the Capital Business Alliance. It was actually a different group. So it was through associate, and it was a referral, and that's how I initially went to my first meeting, and I felt very comfortable with that group, as I do my current.
How long have you been a member?
So I'm going on my 4th year.
4th year. Okay.
Oh, wow. 4th year.
What about you, Philip? Same question to you. That's
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
That was a question too. So like how I think I asked you that last week actually, like how you first heard about BNI, how long you've been a member?
Well, yeah. Now, as far as, because the reason I hesitated, it took me a while to join. It took me a few months before I really felt comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't join until actually January of 2014.
Mm-hmm.
And I was there for a few months. And this whole thing was all new to me because I'd only been a small businessman for about a year and a half. So it was completely new to me. But I've been a member now for a little over 2 years. Mm-hmm. And I'm still learning, I think, really about giving referrals. I would love to come in with a referral every week.
That's Ted.
But lately I've had it's tough. It's tough. So, when you ask me that question, I'm thinking, okay, I'm a member. And yes, I do give referrals and I do the best I can on that. But I'm nowhere near where I need to be in doing that. Mm-hmm. And of course, like Brian, we're at our laptops 90% of the time every week. So it's difficult to get out there. So really, if I may, let me bring this around to a question to you, Ted, because you are a seasoned BNI guy.
Mm-hmm.
When you've got this drought of not giving referrals, it's taken, it's been probably 6 to 8 weeks for me. How do you break that drought? What can you do? Because you want to give. You want to give to your fellow BNI members.
Mm-hmm.
But yet it's been difficult. What's your advice to me and to others who are having the same problem?
Is that to me or to Brian?
That's you, brother.
Yeah, well, that's to you. That's to you mainly.
Okay. So I would spend probably an hour to 2 hours a day, or I'm sorry, a week, meeting with members of your group and learning about their needs, and then trying to go through your book of business, past and current clients, and see how you can fit their needs. I have a business card book, so I keep all my business cards, and then I've got my contacts in my database on my Outlook. So that would be a great way for you to uncover prospects for your fellow BNI members, is to go through your current database of clients, current and past, see if anybody with them, and say, hey, I've got 300 people that I have contacts with. Do any of these people, can they help you? And go through them one by one and let them go through either a card book or your database while you're sitting with them, of course. And specific business wise, you never really know how that ball's gonna bounce, but certainly they will be able to identify 5 or 10 clients out of 200 or 300 people that would be of interest to them. So, and that would be a good referral for them to pick up the phone and say, hey, I do this, and you guys do this. We should get together and talk.
Well, we're in a smaller population area than you are. Charlottesville, as you know, we've got a smaller population, but a smaller group too. Mm-hmm. And I think the one-to-ones can be a benefit too. Do you think the one-to-ones? Is there anything that you do at one-to-ones in BNI that you would say, you should try this out too because it's worked for me?
Just to get to know people on a personal level. My tax accountant has a cliche in his office, and I'll never forget it. And it says, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care about them. So until you get onto a personal level with someone and they really trust you, you're not going to get business from that person. You're not going to give business to that person. So they've got to like you. You have to come across as genuine and sincere and really knowledgeable about what you do. And if you're phony baloney, they're not going to buy it.
Yep.
And that's a big, so being genuine and telling people the way that it is, I think goes a long way. And that's helped me with my business. I just shoot straight from the hip. And people really like that today. I think there's so much BS out there that if you can reach out to someone and connect to them on a personal level, you're going to open up so many doors on a business level. And I just don't think that someone that walks in that says, hey, I want to do business with you, but you haven't earned the right to get business from them. So you got to get on some sort of a level with them, either on a personal or a business level, or, buy them lunch, or, go hit golf balls or whatever you like to do, go for a walk, or, whatever they like to do, just something.
Yeah. Well, James was saying that you were excellent at one-to-one, so obviously you know what you're talking about. I know we're running out of time here, but if it's okay, I'd like to ask you one more question. What really, as a commercial realtor, and I want to go back to commercial realty for just a second, what do you bring to the table that sets you apart from your competitors? And the second part of that question is, how can you help your fellow BNI people using that same method or same concept?
So that's a really great question, and I can't give you all my secrets, but I can tell you that what I think separates me from my competition is the fact that I'm genuine and I'm me, and I'm telling people the straight scoop. If I don't have an answer for someone, I tell them I don't have your answer, and that's not what they want to hear, but it's the truth. Mm-hmm. So I am a little bit different because I like to fly under the radar. I don't like the presence of a big corporate company. I like to do off-market deals, and I bring a certain level of secrecy to my transaction and confidentiality. And a lot of business people don't want their info out on the streets. They want someone that's in their corner, that knows their stuff, that's going to protect all their info. And that's me. And if they trust me and they think I have their best interest at hand, I can certainly provide a great service and asset in my negotiations and all the different intangibles that I am involved with facilitating a transaction and actually ultimately closing. So, I mean, I've just recently closed a transaction I've been working on for 5 years. That's a long time. 5 years.
Whoa.
So
that's amazing.
The guy that I represented was a real estate broker, and he's 90 years old, and he's also a real estate investor. That's a great testimonial to my relationship with him, the fact that he's a licensed agent and he's also a real estate investor, and he asked me to represent him in the transaction. So that just gave me great credibility, I think, across the board. And I can't remember the second part of your question.
Well, the second part ties back into BNI and how you can encourage your fellow BNI members to do kind of the same thing, set themselves apart from other people in their industry.
So that's another great question. I think everyone has their own personality, and they're all perceived differently. And I think that they all provide a service, and how they intertwine their personality with their business and interact with their clients is going to determine the success of their business and who they are in that relationship. So they really need to think about all those things when they go to meet with a client, and how are they perceived by that client, and are they actually bringing value to that transaction, and does that person want to refer them to someone else? And I think that's, a lot of people look at a deal as a one-shot deal. I don't look at it that way. So they've got to look at the big picture and look at themselves and look at their client and ask themselves, what am I bringing to the table for my clients? And how are they perceiving me? And do I sound like an idiot? I mean, quite frankly, that's a big part of how people make decisions. Do they like that person that they're doing business with?
Yeah.
Are they gonna have their back when the shit hits the fan?
Yeah.
I mean, it's truly. So that's my opinion, and that's what I think.
It reminds me of a saying that I've heard on a couple networking interviews, that people have to do three things with you in order for them to do business. They have to know you, they have to like you, and they have to trust you. And so that's why the one-on-ones are important, because you get to know somebody, then you can hopefully over time, trust is built over time. So first they have to get to know you, and then they have to they really have to like you. You do business with people that you like,
That's right. You trust. Yep. Exactly.
I wanted to answer Philip's question too, because that's such a key question, is like, how do you generate referrals for people in the group? And so one of the things that I do on a regular basis is I really try to expand my LinkedIn network. So I probably 3 or 4 times a week, I'll go through LinkedIn, like who you might know. I'll scroll through that, and I will connect with every single person that I know. I don't connect with people I don't know on there, but there's always like 2 or 3 people every time I do that, 3 or 4 times a week, that I'll know somebody somehow. I'll know them from a networking meeting or from school or from a previous job or something. And then also I'll connect with people on LinkedIn who visit the group. Like if I like them and if I get to know them and I like them from the group, they seem kind of trustworthy, I'll follow them, on LinkedIn. And so I'll have that connection. And then what I do is, especially when I know somebody's coming up to do a presentation, or the other thing I do is, a lot of people will say, I'm looking for a realtor. I'm looking, like Ted does a good job of this. Like, I'm looking for people who are who own a business in DC. I'm looking for people who have a business that they're interested in selling. And so then I'll go through my LinkedIn networks, and I'll type in like business owner. I'll type in commercial. I'll type in a real estate people. I've found one of the people I give the most referrals to is a residential real estate person, because I have a lot of real estate connections. She's actually what do you call it? She's not a real estate agent. She is a
realtor.
Not a realtor. I'm talking about Moira.
Oh, settlement attorney.
Settlement, yeah. So she does realty settlement. So she wants to connect with real estate agents, and so I'm always bumping into real estate agents, because sometimes I just go into houses and look around and I grab a card. And so it's easy to I'll start up a conversation like, hey, who do you do your settlements with? And would you be interested in getting to know another settlement person? And they usually say yes, because it's a potential referral for them. So it's an easy referral to make. So I'll go through my LinkedIn Rolodex, and kind of look for people that I can, who my group might be a good referral for that person, and vice versa. Well, let's see. We are coming to the end. We're 8:33. So looking through my little list of next steps. We always upload the video of this interview to YouTube. I'd like to bring Stephanie on real quick if she would come on. Stephanie is our production associate producer for the show.
Yeah.
And so she actually sets up the interviews. If you're too shy to come on, that's fine. But if you want to come on and say hi, that's fine too, Stephanie. She kind of introduces everyone, makes sure that they have a good setup. We actually, it's not working, but she's trying. Okay. She actually will kind of make sure people have the right technology. The other thing we do is, if people don't have a Twitter account, like with Ted, we'll create a Twitter account for new guests if they don't have one. And so they can, kind of have the full experience of logging in with Twitter. You have to be a BNI member to be a guest, though. We are thinking about, actually, next week, we have an open spot next week. So we might just do kind of like an open business networking kind of meeting and just invite people at random, like Yvette. Yvette is in the audience. She's a great blab and social media person. She and I have done a couple of interviews in the past about talking about diversity and music and that kind of thing. So next week we'll probably have a more open kind of business networking discussion where we can bring on, different people like Yvette. She says she's you can't all see that she's blushing. Oh, it looks like Ted might have. Looks like Ted stepped out on us.
Hello?
That's okay. So I like to do a little music outro. So again, the music that we do the intros and the outros to is by a local acoustic blues artist named Drew Gibson. He's a personal friend of mine. He's played at the Bethesda Blues and Jazz Club, which is one of my clients here in the Bethesda area. And so we're going to sign off with a little music from Drew Gibson called Here in the Evening Too.
Have a great week. Thanks for joining us, everybody.